This is News Center at 5.
Coming up next on News Center 6, reaching out to those at risk of suicide.
In a special report, Caroline Cornish takes a look at what the University of Maine is doing to help students who are depressed.
Suicide is relatively rare, accounting for just over 1% of deaths across the country each year.
But it is the second leading cause of death for Mainers between the ages of 15 and 24. And the National Survey of Counseling Service Directors has shown that over the past 12 years, fewer than 20% of those young people sought counseling before their death. So counseling centers on college campuses have been looking for ways to reach out to those at risk of suicide and depression. The University of Maine is one of just 8 schools nationwide pioneering an online outreach technique that is proving to be surprisingly effective. News Center's Caroline Cornish reports.
It seems sometimes like it's been 1,000 years since we've seen him.
Sandra Fisher lost her son, Scott, to suicide in September of 2005. He had just started his freshman year at Rensselaer Polytech, studying to be an aeronautic engineer on a full Navy ROTC scholarship. He was a star soccer player at Deering High School and talented on the guitar. He had friends and a girlfriend who loved him, but he was unhappy.
It was a shock to everyone. It was, if everyone was just shocked, could not believe. I mean, this was a kid that seemed to have it all.
Fisher realized later that her son was showing all the signs of suicidal behavior in the weeks before he died, but neither she nor the therapist he saw at college recognized how troubled he really was. In the years since Scott's death, Fisher has seen how much a well-trained therapist can help.
I've been in therapy since I lost my son, and I wouldn't be here today without it. I know I wouldn't be.
Researchers who have studied suicide among young people have found 80% of suicide victims never seek counseling for their depression. The question is how to reach them. In January, the University of Maine became one of just 8 schools across the country to start a new program that has a lot of promise.
Students have become accustomed to making a connection via texting, via emailing, via chatting, via blogging. And that connection then is something we want to be able to develop with them through the electronic means so that we can then take that connection to the next step.
Kylie Cole, the coordinator of prevention at the UMaine Counseling Center, showed us how it works.
This is what a student will see when they get their email invitation from us.
The Counseling Center's goal is to invite every incoming student to take this anonymous 5 to 10 minute quiz. The student logs in with a user ID and password to protect his or her identity, and then answers questions about mood, sleeping and eating patterns, and thoughts of suicide. When the student clicks submit, Cole gets an email letting her know the results, and she writes up a personalized response within 24 hours. If a student is at risk, she'll invite them to make an appointment or send her a message on the secure website about why they're reluctant to come in.
I use the opportunity to do some education about where we are, about what we do, the fact that we deal with things that are normal college student things, and you don't have to be really ill to come in here and use our services.
The university has also stepped up its training of professors and residence hall staff, teaching them how to recognize signs of depression in students and also how to talk to students who may be at risk. But they say the online program has been very effective. Since January, 33 UMaine students have taken the quiz. 20 were deemed to be at high risk of depression or suicide, and 11 have come to counseling, most after exchanging just 1 or 2 messages with Cole.
I think it's the connection with a human, and once you kind of establish that relationship and they know that there's someone on the other end that's real and that cares, and you can tell them a little bit about what the process is like when they walk in the door. It's not a surprise for them anymore. It's not as scary.
UMaine's numbers are right in line with a national study by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It found that interacting with a counselor online tripled the likelihood a student would come in for treatment. Ann Haas, one of the AFSP researchers, says one of the things most exciting to her is that more than 50% of those taking the quiz nationwide were at high risk, and 90% of them were not in therapy.
We know from all the research that this is the highest risk group that exists on campus for suicide.
The AFSP is hoping more schools will join UMaine in adopting the program. There has been some interest in creating an online therapy program, But neither the foundation nor UMaine feels counselors are equipped to make an accurate assessment without a face-to-face meeting.
When we sit with somebody, we pay attention to so many other things, the nonverbals that occur, the voice tone that occurs, and that just gives us a lot more data to work on.
This is actually, my husband made this.
Fisher, who now runs a foundation to promote suicide awareness and prevention, is excited by the idea of reaching out to students online. She's a believer in anything that makes people realize depression is nothing to be ashamed of and that help is out there.
We need to remove that stigma, speak out and talk about it, and not be ashamed to say, I'm depressed, I need help.
She only wishes Scott could have gotten the help he needed. Caroline Cornish, News Center.
Regardless of your age, there is help available if you're depressed or have thoughts of suicide. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available toll-free 24 hours a day at 800-273-TALK. We also have links to a number of resources on our website, WCSH6.com.